Wow.
Yeah. And Regional District 18 was got all the first tonight, and they're not here.
When was it?
And there's nothing. Yeah. I got one last week, I saw.
Here we go.
About no date thing when it was printed. Yeah, February 1. I got it last week. Yep.
You got everybody?
Yeah. And then some. Dave, I have two of these. I don't know.
Okay.
Is Matt? Oh, yeah. Oh, he is.
Perfect. If I could, everyone, please. I'd like to call the February 15th, 2022 Board of Finance meeting to order at 7:03. We've got Mr. Olson. Are you on the phone?
Hey, good evening, Dave. I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think we've got one other person on the phone. We've got all members of the Board of Finance here, so that's great. First order of business, two items for the Lyme Senior Center. The first is the operations and the budget that we have to go through. Stephanie, if you would do that first, and then Jerry will have you up next for an informational update in terms of the building project.
So you want to come up there and sit down here?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could. Yeah, thank you.
Sure, how we're doing it now. So to help out, if you want to take one of each of these and pass it. I'll explain. It will also be helpful for later when you guys do it with Jerry. But,
Thank you.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
The two.
Of course.
We can, yeah, sure. Well, Nicole, you need it, right? There's one, I think there's 4 pages total, Nicole, and they're coming down now.
This one's the same, isn't it?
Oh,
it's different.
Need a pie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll put the extras right here when we make it up. No, this right.
They're two different ones. So
It's
membership and one says
versus
visit.
membership.
So for what?
But if you look quick, it does, yeah.
It would be for Matt.
Stop. Take.
Yep, and you can take what you need. Thank you.
Yeah.
It comes.
Coming around.
Right, but he's giving them here. That's why I didn't know if
Yeah,
I can give Nicole.
We've already been paid. Still at the other tab.
Him and I were given this
Oh, you guys-
last week when we met.
The breakdown of the age.
Yes, we'll put them on.
Let's see. Unknown ages. 450.
So if I could, Stephanie, before you start,
Yeah.
Nicole, I don't know, center, the number
I mean, here I can do it.
I've got in the book is 139,740.
And these are for the, yeah. Do you have that?
Yep.
That? I think that's it so far.
Okay.
And then now on the telephone,
Yep.
original 3,000, and she's increasing that to 3,500.
Okay.
And the total then would be 139,896.
139,8. Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's a 100% number, David?
139,896.
That's 100% in line shares in that.
Of what?
Line shares in
Where it's
that.
divided.
Correct. Yeah, that's 100%.
I hate this chair.
Okay.
All right.
Stephanie,
So,
get the highlights.
all right, we'll start with the first one, which is part of the reason you have some of the stuff there. So, the senior center is growing. I gave you guys some visual aids, but any questions you have, you can ask me about that. But it's growing to a point, especially with COVID, but before COVID, but now it's just even more so, that 30 hours a week doesn't get the job done. There's just too many different facets to the senior center and what they do. So I do have a page on there about just what we've taken on since COVID. You guys probably look familiar to something you recently got from me, but with a little bit of change. But these are just some of the things that the senior center is shouldering on top of what we were doing originally. So I am asking to get increased from 30 hours a week to 35 hours a week. So that's what that price change is. It's just the 5 extra hours.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, or you guys want me to move on?
I think those are kind of dovetail with what you had
Okay, great.
passed out in terms of, and so for Matt, for your benefit on the telephone, we got a number of handouts from Stephanie, 2 of which are important that dovetail with her responsibilities, and those show visits historically from 2013 on, and then membership historically from 2013 on. So I'll make sure that you look at those at the meeting. 2013, the members were 213 members, and let's go pre-COVID, 2019, up to 1,409 members. And then visits were 3,707 in 2013. Pre-COVID, 2019, 26,957
Thanks, Dave. That's very helpful.
All right. So the mileage I've decreased. It is still more than what I did this year, but I see this next year becoming much more like the years in the past. I see that, in July, I'm hoping everything's going to get back to normal. We're going to be doing the regular stuff that we normally do. Therefore, I want to make sure that I have enough miles to do that. If there's any questions on the miles that I do, it's for trainings, and they're already talking about doing a training over the summer, our CASC training. It's for meetings. It's for with the region, with other senior centers, with community partners, with marketing, with outreaching to homebound residents, including like even lately just doing the COVID kit distributions for homebound people, picking up supplies, replenishing our food pantry, planning regional events, going to entertainment showcases where I'm able to hire new people, and off-campus program evaluations, like when we're going to be restarting our hiking group up, our art group when it goes off. So it's a way for me to get where I need to go. So I did keep it at we moved it down from 1,000, but we kept it at 650 so that when everything blows up in a good way, then we will have the opportunity to get what we need to do without going over budget.
So that's 650, not 1,000?
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone had that.
Yeah. And then, so I've kept everything else is pretty much, up to snow plowing. I've increased snow plowing because last year we had a very high snow plowing of 5125. We had it set at 2,700, so I thought we may need to change it to about 4,000 just to make sure we cover the storms, and hopefully don't need to use it all. Increase the phone. When we met, Jude and I were talking, and Kim, and they realized that the 1701 is just about 6 months, so it was going to go over the $3,000. So we bumped that up to 3,500. Sure.
Why would that be? Have there been increases? And I'm really looking at Nicole. All her phones are through the same service, aren't they?
Right, that doesn't include the other senior phone bill, does it?
What do you mean, yes?
The one that we pay through the 27 account?
We don't have any paid through the 27 account.
But this is also internet, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've just,
I don't have an answer, I'd have to look.
okay, it just seems odd to be going up that much.
We used to have a cable, but it was totally different, and it was 27, so.
Okay, that's lovely.
But we don't have it now because we're not there enough to have it, you know.
Right, it's included in the phone.
So yeah, that's phone and internet, yeah.
27 the year before that we. And at 17 for 6 months, it just seemed pretty likely it was going to increase.
I mean, I can check the phone.
I mean, that could be 7 bills instead of 6 or something like that, just
Right.
based on timing, that's
Yeah.
all. I just, you know,
I don't think.
it's not that big of a deal, it's $500.
It might have to do with the new cameras and the,
Okay,
all of that film feel,
okay, just,
so I'll check on that.
And then the other big jump is, the other big jump is going to be into the maintenance. Because we are holding off doing huge things and we're just kind of Band-Aiding it because of, you know, the proposal of going and getting fixing the building in a different way. So when I talked to Phil, he wanted to up it to 9,000 just to cover anything that might happen in lieu of having capital expenses on things that we don't want to replace now, thinking we might be completely renovating down the road.
Great. Kim or Jude, any other
No,
input or anything?
that pretty much
No,
covers it.
we met and
We did.
it was, the senior center was clean and nice and, you know, there were a few people in and out while we were there.
And we didn't address any capital projects or anything. That
We'll get to that.
strictly the option.
Right.
That's right, yep. Okay.
question on the, in the same line as the phone being at 1,700, the alarm, senior center alarm, year to date, 2197 being spent, you're only budgeting 500 this year?
But this was something that we
Oh, wait,
talked about.
yeah,
And
actually,
I think
Nicole,
that a few lines got mixed up on
Yeah.
the sheet.
Nicole addressed that.
In the,
okay.
in
It's-
the
You did, I'm
allocation.
sorry.
so the 295 should be dropped down one, and the 2197 should be dropped one.
Gotcha.
And there shouldn't be anything,
250, okay.
Yeah, so there should be a 0 in the propane line.
because even though we're using propane, it's moved to heating now, so.
Right.
Yeah, when I downloaded,
Yep, okay,
really not, so sorry about that.
It was
no problem.
You only write 1,000 lines.
Yeah, it jumped out at us too. It took, we were.
All right,
Great. So I'll entertain a motion for $139,896 for the senior center.
and that includes 5 extra hours that we're talking about.
That is included, I think, in the requested wages line, up from 49 to 59.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any further discussion?
I have one. I'm in favor of the increase for the 5 hours, but I think this once again brings up the need to have a review on salaries, hours, and job definition.
Great. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstention? Great, the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, on potential longer-term capital item, Jerry, if you would join us, and I had circulated to everyone, hopefully people were able to print out or link to the Senior Center Building Committee website, take a look at the number of presentations that have been made to date and where we kind of were in the last month or so.
Right.
And I asked Jerry to join just to give us an update. We're not going to be voting on anything tonight, but I wanted the board to have enough time to reflect upon it.
Sure.
Ask Jerry questions if they had any questions, and then we'll be better informed.
And I'm sorry, I don't have any copies for you, but my solid-state hard drive crashed on my computer this morning, so I'm not sure I have the copies I need even, but we'll deal with it, okay? Thank you for meeting with me, and also I'd like to remind you who I am for the new members of the board, but also I haven't been here for a year and a half or more now, so reminding those of you who have met me before. I've lived in Old Lyme for 24 years. I am the chair of the board of directors for the Old Lyme Senior Center and a member of the respite committee here in Old Lyme as well. I'm a retired teacher, and I'm also the chair of the building committee for the possible renovation of the center. And that is a separate committee. It's not a subcommittee of the board. It is a two-town appointed committee, and I would just like to tell you who's on it so that you have a sense of who I meet with every month and have met with every month for the last 2.5 years. For Old Lyme, our representatives are myself, Arthur Skip Beebe, Ken Biega, who you may know from the library renovation project, who's also vice president of Noble Construction in Essex, and he's a expert on construction. BJ, who just joined our committee a month or so ago, and Mr. Griswold is an ex officio member of the committee as well, and so is Stephanie. So Stephanie always is giving us input when we need it for what she has to do. Our Lyme representatives include Mary Stone, Alan Shyness, who just joins the committee, and he is the chair of the Board of Finance for Lyme, John Kiker, who is selectman from Lyme, and Russell Leonard, who is the principal architectural partner for Centerbrook Architects in Essex, in Centerbrook. And also Steve Mattson, as first selectman, is also an ex officio member. So I just want to say that this is one of the best groups I've ever worked with. I've never done anything like this before as a teacher, but I've been on a steep learning curve and had a wonderful time with this group, looking at the future of a valuable asset to these two communities. This center serves everybody in Lyme and Old Lyme, not just our 55 to 101-year-old members that we have now. We have 2 generations of members. We actually have members, the other members, mothers, fathers. But they're also mothers, fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors to the rest of the families in these communities as well. So the center serves everybody. It's a full-service municipal center. It's not a private club. And it is something that I am so proud to be a member of, but also to share information with you about how we look to see what the future of that center is going to be. And you have to excuse me, I have some allergies, and this mask is not helping. Okay? When I was here last, you appropriated $15,000 for us to do a feasibility study as the first step to look at how we should answer the questions about not only do we want to add space to the center, but why do we want to add space to the center? What does it mean? How will it be utilized? And what does it mean for the 15 to 20-year future of the center? We, as a board, pledged an additional one-time $15,000 pledge to match that so that we could hire an architectural firm to do the appropriate feasibility study that was needed as a first step. We did an RFP. We took in 10 architectural firms, went through 700 pages of proposals as a committee, and chose Point One architectural firm here in Old Lyme for 2 reasons. We love their design approach, and we felt that they were a good fit for who we are and what we do. But we also wanted to commit to hiring a local firm and, commit to a local business here in town. They've done a remarkable job, and I hope you were able to look at the feasibility study as the first phase, which was presented just this past fall to stakeholders who were involved in the public meetings that we had, and also to our building committee. All the information that we've posted on our web page that is on both towns' websites are all the information that we've given out to anybody in the community, including the architectural firms that we were soliciting. That information is available and updated on a regular basis, and I hope that you continue to look at that. And when we met with Mr. Kelsey, Mr. Griswold, Mr. Mattson, and Mr. Shyness last week, Dave came up with a great idea about how maybe we should link those web links, and I'm working on that, okay, as soon as I can get my computer up again. And we're also switching to 4G, 5G phone service now, so technology, you gotta love it. So right now, where are we at? We just decided on the 18th when we met with the Board of Selectmen, we asked if we should go out for another RFP to do the next phase of design, which is a full schematic design. The board agreed that night that we should go ahead and do that solicitation. But then the next day, there was some further discussion about maybe we should take a step back. Maybe we should look at how we don't want to reinvent the wheel, go out and maybe get another architectural firm in that might actually scrap everything we've done so far and want to start over again. And I totally agreed with that. And so did our committee. But we felt that that was the process that we were supposed to follow. Since then, it's been pretty much agreed by the leaders of both communities that we could possibly waive the RFP requirement, keep point one in the mix, and obligate them to go to full schematic design through to construction document design, which would take us all the way up to the point where we would have to go out to bid for a building contract. I work with point one probably twice a week at least on the phone with them, and they're busy now reworking that proposal because they just came up with the schematic design proposal for $80,000, and now they're reworking it to go out that next step. So I should have a ballpark number for you, I think, in another few days. But we're working with the benchmark of what the conceptual designs created with the upper end of $3.8 million. So we're going to see how they come off that benchmark to give us proposed fees for the next two phases.
The question, you just mentioned 80,000, and what did the 80 or is the 80?
Yeah, there's basically 5 steps in the design process. So this would have taken, the 80 would have taken us from the conceptual design that we've already paid for, and by the way, they came in right on budget for that, okay? And we still have some money left over that we can contribute from the board's contribution of around $10,000. We still have that. The next phase is full schematic design, going to a construction document design. What that will take into account will be every system in the building down to nuts and bolts and details, civil engineering, site plan work, zoning, health code, everything that a builder eventually will need to do the construction of the center. And that's what we're taking them through. And then it's going to go all the way through to the millwork, to everything that needs to be done to the building. So that we know that we have, and also they have obligated to take us through to construction completion, because that was something that the town of Lyme was very interested in. We don't want the point one to step out at any phase. We want to keep them as much as possible because we're very pleased with what they've done so far. I think that I'm not an architect. I've asked the questions about what do you think might be the costs involved, and I'm pretty much convinced that they're going to come in with something reasonable, since when we did do the interviews for the feasibility study, I actually went to each firm that we came down to the last 3 that we interviewed and negotiated with them to reduce their fees for the feasibility study, and they reduced theirs significantly for that. They're easy to work with, and they're very good at what they do. And they're very capable of taking this through to the completion of the work. So in that respect, that's pretty much a kind of an update.
So just in preparation for what we're going to be asked to vote upon, we've got 2 phases of design.
Instead of 1.
That Jerry is proposing to take care of in this next fiscal year. The first of which would be the schematic, roughly 80 grand. And then in order to get the specs to bid out, that's another very significant step, and that would be an incremental cost. So there are two phases, one of which is 80,000, and the other of which, Point One was working on a number.
They're working on it as of this morning. I spoke to them, I think that what they're struggling with is what everybody's struggling with, is materials costs, supply chain issues, and, everything that they're going to do is, I asked them to base it on that 3.8 at this point, because we know it's going to change. It's going to change where it could be more next year, or depending on how we raise money, and we intend to do that to offset the cost for both towns, it could be less, So we're, but that's what they're struggling with right now for all their projects, is looking at what's happening.
Because their fee is tied to the cost of the project.
That's right, and their fee, I understand. I'm not sure if they're going to come out with a fixed fee or a percentage of what will be the total cost.
As soon as you know, so we've got a number of weeks. If you can get that number
Absolutely.
to me, and I'll circulate it to everybody. So
Absolutely.
Got it sooner rather than
I'm
later.
hoping to have it by the end of this week.
Great.
Okay.
And they were also going to revise, I think, their proposal.
Oh no, this proposal is
More detailed.
their proposal will include everything through that construction design to construction document phase, and also we've asked them to commit in any proposal or contract to see through to construction completion, and so that we know that we have them as our architects and that they're going to do the job for the community. They're very invested in doing this for the community as well. They have not done a lot of senior centers. We actually interviewed another firm that did a tremendous amount of senior center work, building and renovation. But their design approach was not what we liked. We liked the idea that Point One felt they knew the scale and the scope of what we were looking for as a committee, that they wanted, they understood of maintaining the culture of the communities for the center, and making us feel less like an institution and more like walking into another home, which is what we asked them to think about. And the other firms, they were great firms, but they were kind of cookie cutter, and they were more into making us into a Planet Fitness than a senior center. So it was not a hard choice to make. And they're very invested in what we're doing, and they work very closely with us.
Jerry, Greg Nucci, Rick Staub, both worked for a long time with Russell Center, right? They were both Centerbrook architects. Were there for a long time.
Yeah, no, and Kelsey Janetz too. Yeah, all three of them, the team that we have from Point One, have worked with Russell and other people that I've talked to, because I checked their references of all of them that have worked with them, have praised their ability to do. They've done several commercial buildings, so they've done larger scale work, but they just haven't done a senior center like ours yet, and they're very excited to be able to do it. Okay.
Beyond the construction design, you might ask them what they will charge for the construction management part of it. I don't know if that equates to a clerk of the works function, but often when you're doing a building project, you have somebody on scene watching everything, looking at quantities, there's testing and all kinds of stuff. So
I think that's the understanding that we have with them, but I will actually...
Yeah, because that can really be a significant amount.
I mean, like a project manager.
Ken will know.
Ken will know, but also I think they've already said they're going to do it. So
But it wasn't enumerated in what we
No.
had. So the next iteration will hopefully have that.
Yeah.
But that's, if it's not, we need to understand.
Yeah.
Either that's a third party, because you can have a third party manager, or it could be.
So I want to wrap this up for you, not take up too much of your time, but I also wanted to entertain questions. But one more thing that came up in our meeting that we had, and has come up in other meetings as well, is what are we doing as a building committee to hopefully look to the future to offset the costs for the two towns? And I just wanted to update you quickly about who I've been in contact with and who I've met with for the committee at this point. I had a phone conversation meeting with Rick Shriver from the Chamber of Commerce. Early on, I called OMB and asked about whether or not this project would be eligible for a STEEP grant, if money would be available, and I was told yes, it would, if the towns would approve that. Just on the 8th of February, I met on a Zoom call with Devin Carney, Norm Needleman, and Paul Formica on the state level, and they have pledged that they will support whatever we're doing in any way they can, as long as they're still in office when it happens. Okay? So I get that. But, I'm pushing Devin because he's an old Lyme boy, okay? And I did come to the ARPA committee early on and just in public comment, just let them know who we are and what we're doing, and was advised to maybe think about doing an application at that point when they're available. I met with Congressman Courtney, and he and his office are helping me look for federal grants at this, but again, we're early in that process, and it's going to be all about timing and whether money's available. I met on the 4th with the Mentoring Corps for Community Development, the MCCD, here in Old Lyme, and we'll hopefully work with them in the future. We've been thinking about doing a possible walking track as part of the plan, so I actually reached out to the DOT to see if we might be eligible for a Connecticut connectivity grant. And then just this last week, we had the joint meeting with the two boards of finance chairs and the two boards of selectmen, first selectmen, which I think was a wonderful meeting, and walked out of that feeling like the support is there from both towns. So that's, if you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions at this point for Jerry? And if
one last question.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone on your board or committee who have experience in grant writing?
I have. I mean, I've written grants when I was a teacher. Okay. I understand how onerous that process can be, and grants are going to be selective in what they're going to require, and what we're doing now, without doing an RFP process for each step, might hamper us in a grant application. But you know what? If those grants are going to be that picky and that crazy, I may not want to go after those grants.
That's true.
And we're committed to do it. We're going to kick off private fundraising when we can, and when it's timely. And I'm hoping that both communities will step up and realize that this center has meaning to so many people in these two communities and serves a huge demographic of both. You've got pretty much half of your community, both communities are 50 and older at this point. And we shop here, we do a business here, we have families here, or extended families, but we have a population that we need to serve not only for its vibrancy and its ability to age well and enter retirement and know that we have opportunities, but we also must serve our more vulnerable members. And I'm going to tell you, that's what Stephanie does. She plans all those things for every single member and knows exactly what we need. And that's why this center has exploded in growth, because we know how to serve the community and serve everybody in the community, not just people 55 and better, which is our motto.
any other questions for Jerry?
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good luck with the computer.
Well, Amazon tomorrow morning.
Oh, nice.
All right, great. Fire services. Rubbing.
We're all gonna stay in the back.
I know, that's all coming out.
Semaphore from the back.
I got it, buddy.
Sheriff, come on, you need to be at the table.
What's that?
Really?
Everybody's got copies from previous, I'm still,
It's in our book.
it's in your book?
Yeah.
Everybody's got
Yeah,
it?
I think everything's in our
Everything's in
book.
the book. It's just
That
good.
we need
I mean, we went over
We've got
that.
a couple extras if they're needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put them over here though too, so you can look. Okay, that's it for tonight.
All right. Hey, Andy, do you want to,
Yeah, start, I mean,
guide?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the,
Next week I'm bringing John.
this is easier if I look in the, everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Rob and I met with Steve and the leadership of the fire department last week, and honestly, as usual, they were extremely well prepared. If you look in your budget book, the backup is there for every single line item. I don't even know how many pages it totals. The explanation and backup is there for every single line item that is part of the budget. Some of the highlights, see if I can remember from last Wednesday, under the operating budget, there really, you'll see there's if you look at the bottom line, the current budget is $206,994, the request is $210,774. With some shifts in a few different places, eliminating some things that are not needed this year. A major area of increase, if you look at it percentage-wise, is way down. Water supply hose going from $1,000 to $3,100. It's a 216% increase. That's just a matter of what's needed now versus what was needed last year. Again, the operating budget it's always well thought out and well laid out, and again, documented. They have members of the department that are responsible for different areas, and their names are on each of the pages. They've done the research, they've done the work. I don't know if there's anything, they're really, in the operating budget, there's really not a lot that really changes.
The hose is what Andy's referencing to. It's that 20-year life expectancy through the NFPA standards. So this happened to be a bigger year. If it's a large jump, we tried to do it as a capital to make it a little bit easier for us and spread it out over time. But that was just one of the things that we found this year is going to be a 20-year. You have to remove some hose. The cost of the hose is going up drastically, as materials have in other industries. There's really not a lot we could do in that category. We kind of get our hands tied on certain things.
There's time.
Yeah, some things.
We did talk capital as well. So while we're here, we do want to hit capital as well. But hit the operating first. Yeah, you have equipment that just has to be replaced.
Right.
And I guess that kind of dovetails into capital discussion. Which even though we're not voting on that tonight, you can see if you have the top of, and it's in your book as well, if you go to their page, it looks like this. It's just behind all the other materials. To Steve's point, their models. Last year we approved 20, this current year we had 22,000. Next year we only need 10,800. Portable radios, 2,000. That's kind of a semi-standard number. Just replacing, bicycling through those. We are saving, scrolling away our dollars to replace the Rescue, which is probably the most expensive truck. Not the most expensive.
Not yet.
But it's going to be the most expensive. It's going to be anywhere from $700,000 to $950,000 by the time we end up replacing it.
Yeah, right.
So we're saving that $950.
How far out can we lock in?
Problem,
A couple of years?
the problem with the industry right now is steel. Apparatus manufacturers are having a hard time getting components such as the rear end and the front steering, front axles, I guess it would be for better terms. Yeah, if we can lock them in as we have in the past, and the builds on them normally like 190, they're going out to a year, 2 years. It's just right now we're in such a bad time manufacturing. Once the committee gets going, we can probably lock in a lot of those a lot better. In the years past, we were able to, if we bought 1 truck, 2 trucks, we saved money on drawings, engineering. Wherever we could save that dollar, we always asked and tried and applied. The apparatus that we do replace, there's a value. We were able to sell some to replenish some of the money. Yeah, the back to budget.
$25,000 for the last.
I think it was like 80 for the last 2 tankers.
Oh, that's good.
So we did okay. We got
25.
35,000 for the old hose tender.
Right.
So there's again.
$900,000 versus. But it's something.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
But it's
Right,
savings.
something.
We're able to put it back into that fund. We're gracious enough that town the apparatus replacement program. It helps. Every little bit helps.
And
So,
Steve, this is projected to be actually hopefully delivered 25, 26?
yeah, the committee will start probably about a year. There are a couple manufacturers that we want to take notice to. Other surrounding towns have made that purchase. We go out and ask them, what did you like about this manufacturer? What was their shortcuts? What have you seen be the problems that came up after it was manufactured? And basically pick, for lack of better words, we pick the truck apart to make it last for us.
Have you guys ever coordinated with other towns to figure out whether their schedules, if there's some parallel, so that we can go in with a little bit more?
Yes and no. The one thing that we'll get hit on would be what we build suits our footprint. What Old Saybrook just purchased 2 engines, they're totally different. They have a hydrant system, so they may not have a 1,000-gallon tank, where we have 1,000-gallon
Would
tanks.
those be separate manufacturers? Just curious.
They would be the same manufacturer, probably.
Yeah.
But it would just be a matter of we're putting different proposals at the manufacturer.
Yeah, but they're getting twice the business, potentially.
True, but there's still going to be the engineering fees.
Yeah, you're not saving on that, but you're saving, hey, we can play them off.
We can always ask. When we went out to Marion for the 2 tankers, Mystic was out there getting their engine. So there's time to be able to showcase, ask around who's doing what, and then be able to possibly have that question asked and see if there is a savings.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's 60, 80,000, it's still 80,000.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a benefit. I think we bumped that up from the 100,000 last year to the 150.
Yep.
That carries out for a couple more years.
Get to where we need to when it's time to order.
Yeah.
Is that in line, Nicole, with what we have?
Yeah, because the last year we had the sale, the year before that, we put in as well, that's why we reduced.
Right. So that helps. We
So I
put
think
it,
as of today, we have about 530,000,
okay.
maybe a little bit more than that.
So that,
We're on
we're on track to have,
for that amount,
okay.
for about $9 million.
So that's good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Next item that we spent quite a bit of time on, especially Mr. Garvin, is electronics.
We recently, throughout last year, we asked for some funding for the marine unit. We were asked if we could get grants. We tried. They really didn't come in the way we expected. I know the full security grants came in and the money was actually shrunk to what they thought the region was going to receive for our area. I believe last year, the monies we were looking at were in the areas of $37,000 to $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
This past winter, through our funding at the fire department, we were able to purchase some of the components. Phase 1, you can say it is. It's a Raytheon thermal imager, allows the crews that are operating on the river or the sound be able to navigate, scan, and see what's in front of them. This next package, for the $20,375, is just for some more charting and mapping and monitors. The boat is a 2015. The electronic equipment right now is 6, 7, going on 7 years old. It's just, we're trying to update it and be a little bit more up with Coast Guard and our surrounding assets that we support also when we're called out in the water. I do have my Marine captain here, who also can go into a little bit more in depth if there's a question that may come up.
How many times was it on the water
Yeah, how
in the
many,
last few years?
how many hours does it average a year of running time or man time?
Right now we're at about 300 hours.
For mostly summertime hours?
Pretty much from May all the way up to October. The boat's in the water from May to first ice, so it's usually about
5 months?
December, January.
7, okay. So 40 hours, 45 hours a month for 7 months.
So it kind of fluctuates. I'll pass it around.
What do we used it for?
Yeah.
What do we
How is it used?
Yeah, I mean, you're on the water, I understand that. But
Yep, so
how many calls do you get that you use the boat?
So in the last 3 years, if you go to the second page, so 2019 we had 8 calls. So 2 of them were marine fires, 2 of them were marine searches, and we had 4 marine rescues. So a search could be a kayak adrift, somebody was routine going into the water, and now they can't see them. A rescue around here is typically somebody stuck out on the island.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know, Glenn gets guys out on the islands down by Old Lyme Marina all the time, usually 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Low water, can't see them.
Shouldn't
Cell phone battery's dead, and now we're cruising up and down trying to find them. 2020, we had 9 calls, so we had 1 marine fire, 2 marine searches, and then 6 rescues. So 2020 was kind of a big year for us. We had, I don't know if you guys remember in the paper, Halloween, light snow, we had somebody leave Groton Long Point, went missing, never came back. At that call, I was on the phone with Sector Long Island Sound from 12 o'clock on 10:30 to 6 a.m. And there was 14 agencies coordinated in that search, with over 20 different vessels and 2 air assets. And during the debrief, we realized that communication was one of the biggest problems that we had. So I actually worked with Matt's family at Groton Utilities. They were down at the boat launch listening to Channel 16, which was the main communication channel that we had. So they had a play-by-play of what we were doing. So when we found the victim, they knew right away. What this does is all these electronics will enable a secure communication between every asset on the water. It helps us to negotiate search patterns with Sector Long Island Sound all the way up to Boston. It's like sending an email, text messages. Beaches, if they've got issues with boaters down at the beach, jet skis flying in and out of the no-wake zone, they can communicate to us vessel descriptions if we're at the dock or in the river. It provides a security for all of our exercise, yes.
So do you have scheduled or anticipated hours that you automatically are out there? Is it purely on a need or an emergency or a call basis?
So it's both.
Okay.
So we obviously respond any emergency.
Yep.
We've worked with Trooper Weber really well over the last 3 years to try and get out there on the bigger holidays, the Labor Day, the Memorial Day, 4th of July. We participated in security details for the Wood fireworks last year, as well as the fireworks off Hawks Nest. They had the Trump parade out in the river. We were out there with the police and DEP and Coast Guard and all that.
But I guess I'm asking, are you there from 3 to 6 every Sunday night when people? Not that I expect it. I'm just wondering how all these hours.
No, I mean we try and I prefer to have the boat out as much as possible. We can, depending upon availability. We're all 100% volunteer.
Exactly, and you have to have the right personnel on the boat.
Right, they're not law enforcement.
I know.
No.
And you can't run the boat without a captain.
Correct. And we've lost 4 of our operators in the last 2 years. 2 to moving, 2 have asked to step down.
Yep.
When Tom Brown and Bob Doyen left, I lost probably 45 to 50 years of experience. You know, I told Andy and Grubby, you know, I'm prior Coast Guard. I've run search patterns.
But you're also a trained fireman.
Correct.
So you can't just have one without the other.
Correct. So what this does is for our new and upcoming operators, this makes operating search and rescue patterns and doing the job a lot easier and a lot safer.
That's a lot of volunteer hours. Times 2 or 3. Do you have to have 2 people or 3? Wow. So that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, we also, we have a gentleman coming down from Maine.
We have
for our training.
So we have somebody coming up from New Jersey in April for our newer guys. I've had Station New London come out twice.
Yep.
Run through a classroom as well as on the water portions with us individually, and then we also trained with Saybrook and Essex. They're the closest mutual aid. So these are the exact electronics that EP, Connecticut State Police, Essex, and Saybrook all have.
Yeah, the training side of it is where you won't see those numbers.
Right.
We did a lot with swim. Our swiftwater swimmers had to go up to Maine. We've had a couple groups come down to us to do trainings here. We have the gentleman from Towboats or Jersey.
Yep.
He's coming back to do another 16-hour course. The boat's visible. It's out there. It's seen. It has the dewatering capability. It has the fire suppression.
And you're getting busier. You're not getting.
It has the medical.
Wow.
We're hoping these numbers stay small. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That we're not out there. But it's a totally different. Try driving in the fog in your car. You know that back road 100%.
Yep.
When you get out in the river, if you're a boater, the item that may be floating damage to something. Or unit. Yep. So trying to get with the most up-to-date technology was just something we push.
Thank you.
How much of this is, I'm sorry, just one more question from me. How much of this is communications and how much is it, I got a 20-year-old pretty decent Garmin system in my boat that I can update software and all that stuff, so it remains pretty solid. It's commercial grade. Radar and charting seems to be what we're updating. Is that true?
So
isn't $15,000 for night vision capability?
No, so that's not included on this quote. We already paid the $16,000.
The fire department purchased that equipment, not the town.
I'm a firm believer that if we're going to come to you guys and ask for money, we have to have some skin in the game. So I approached the membership and said, this is what my proposal is, but we need to invest in ourselves before we ask anybody else to invest in us. So I actually talked to L&L, who is the distributor, the installer, about using our existing Garmin system with our FLIR. It doesn't work because what this provides us is interoperability between all of our systems.
Okay,
so I can take my FLIR, my chart plotter, and my radar and overlay all three onto a touch screen.
Got it.
And then the screen for my officer seat and have a similar one so that I can just focus on driving and not panning and searching.
Okay, thank you.
It says the department obtained a grant for purchase a portion of the funding for the electronics. Is that the request you're speaking of here, or is that the portion you guys are buying?
We used some of that funding for
the thermal.
For the thermal.
Okay, so that price was greater than $15,600.
Correct. So the grant that grant is the Kitchens Foundation. That was a $10,000 grant.
10.
So that was what we applied some of that to here.
That was about $25,600 sticker price on that one.
For the thermal?
Yeah.
No, the thermal was $16,000. We received $10,000 from the Kitchens Foundation.
Well, okay, so you guys approved $15,600.
Correct.
And the grant $10,000. So is your net $5,000?
Oh yes.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, we're not voting on capital tonight.
No, we just wanted to capture the moment. Always important. Last week, and we wanted to capture the moment. So, being that there may be a question that may come up, it's easier to do it now.
Yeah.
So I have my account managers with me, and I'm hoping if one comes up that they're here still. We got told to do the work.
Well, just one other item, I don't know if you're going to do the washing machine?
Well, we got the Knox box.
Okay.
It would be something that we just want to touch back on. Well, circle back. Last year we were able to get the funding of $72,8671. We made the purchase for the new electronic Knox boxes. For those who don't know what that is, it gives us the opportunity in our truck under a secure link to dispatch to open up a key to go to the resident, be able to make entry without having to damage it. It saves their property. Over the years of Bill Bliss and prior, we had some issues, and we're at the point now where these Knox boxes need to be replaced. We purchased them, we're ready to go. Then we received a quote from Knox because we're under a different agreement than what we had before. We had to purchase $1,600 worth of tumblers. Then we went out and started getting quotes for a locksmith. The fire department felt it would be more professional that we don't change the locks out. We would go side by side with a licensed locksmith. We use Ratcliffe for different things in town. We received a couple different quotes. The first one, which kind of set me over, was $6,250. That was from Ratcliffe to do 48 tumblers. I was shocked. So I had my committee go out again and get some more quotes in November. Precision out of Centerbrook, Connecticut, another facility, gave us one for $1,790. And we started talking to him, and he was like, well, what are they? So now he wants to take apart one of these boxes and possibly quote again. So the quotes are all over the place. We did receive a quote again from Ratcliffe. It's been decreased from $6,250 to $4,800. But we're going in the right direction. We're getting it down. But the fact that we were, $6,800 from last time when you asked, do we have enough? We weren't aware. Then the locksmith came up. So there's some areas that we need to go after. We didn't put a number in for that capital, but we definitely need to, moving forward, get some extra funding to finish this project, which would be probably the Knoxes.
Have we expended anything out of those?
We purchased the boxes. We have them.
So that was $1,600?
That was $72,8671.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's for the boxes, right?
So right now we're trying to, with the quotes from the tumblers at $1,680, and then getting the locksmith dialed in on a cost factor,
right,
and then figuring out, the 8 hours, 16 hours for a firefighter to drive around. We got to communicate with Valley Shore to have the key entered and then put back in. So there's a little time.
So the reason I was asking about that is there's no carryover, right?
Correct.
So this would be, and we don't have a number yet, but we need to vote on it.
We need to be able to get this one item into this, and we're working diligently to get it there.
Because it said removed, I was confused.
Yeah.
Like, does that mean they never need this again, or we're leaving it
TBD
open?
Look, I think what we did was we asked for the 7286. We were under the impression we're there. But when Knox started giving us all the documents to sign, we started finding out that Knox says we have to do this. So they kind of held our hand.
All right, so that's TBD.
So it's open.
So we're going to get that information as fast as we can.
Can it wait until July for the summer for all the installs to be done?
We basically used to have 7 boxes. We're down to 4 of the old system. We're piecing them together to keep them going. If it's going to wait till July, we can. Obviously, we want to get the boxes mounted. We don't want to have it, be dead 100% because of lack of parts and the transition of going to the newer one. We don't want to spend money on it. So we're trying to take parts of the ones that are broken to fix the other ones. It's just...
Capital in a month?
Well,
yeah, I mean, if you get us when you get us a number,
so we can
let
us know as soon as possible.
We're hoping to have this number locked in. Precision wants to see the actual tumbler to see how long it would take, I guess.
Yeah.
If we can talk to Ratcliffe and get him locked in 100% on the 48, then we're going to have two different comparable quotes that we can look at.
It's February 15th, that's a long time.
And I can get them to you, absolutely.
First, so.
Well,
If
it's
you
just,
wanna
is
have
it
all the
something that we
numbers.
want to consider to
Put something in.
approve now?
Right.
In this year,
Yeah.
and not put in the budget as a special allocation so it can get done sooner rather than.
Because it's within the Board of Finance can approve the amount that you're.
The Knox box, the marine application was more of a capital, we wanted to touch on it. The Knox box was something that we needed to get moving fast on, and we had the washer, dryer, and the CARES Act. That was, those two things were the hot button that we had our members, the Board of Finance at our station, so we hit them with the questions, and here's where we're at.
Nicole has some input.
We talked about, the year we put money in for the fire truck, it was really a fire equipment fund. And we've, in other times, used it for fire-related things that have come up a long time ago. So, if you need another $7,000 out of there to finish this, I don't think that's going to get to $900,000.
Yeah, that's great.
So wants to do that now, and then.
Okay, that's helpful.
As soon as I get all the information, I'll email you, Andy, just to get everything finalized. And then once we get the date, the numbers locked in, it's just a matter of a Saturday or a Friday and converting the whole town. We'll give you the email that we're going to be doing it also. Valley Shore will be aware of it. Trooper Weber will be aware of it. Locksmith will go to work.
Good.
So this shouldn't be too bad.
You don't have a goal now, then?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're trying to get the number down. It was just,
Sounds like it's going to be around 6,500.
Yeah, the 6,250 was a hard one to swallow. Now that we have the 4,800, it's getting better, but precision may be a little bit more lower. And
But we could, you could always say not to now if you wanted, or you can wait,
Let's just we'll get the number first.
Yeah.
I'll get you the number.
Yeah.
10 days isn't going to kill us, right?
No.
So
A few weeks isn't
we can wait. We can wait.
We're meeting daily.
Till Friday to get you the number. So the last item that we have, we were trying to figure out how we could make this purchase. We noticed with the CARES Act in town, I forwarded the packet to the Board of Selectmen. So you probably received that last Wednesday or Thursday time frame. I have the committee for the washer dryer extractor here. To brief you on it rather fast.
Excuse me, I think a car alarm is going off in the back. Anybody parked out there?
Mine's
I'm on the street.
Okay. Yeah, I know you guys did a lot of work on this. I did forward this information to the Board of Selectmen, or at least an overview of the information to David. So basically, the washing machine, here, come on up, was purchased, it's at Boughton Road. It was purchased in 1993 when the station was built. It's a washing machine. It's heavy duty. It's what washes the turnout gear for the fire department.
That's heavy duty.
If I may. I still have one? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Ethan Temple. I'm just a regular firefighter. I'm not an officer or anything with the Lyme Volunteer Fire Department. As we said, I'm here tonight to request a new washing and drying machine for our fire gear. I have an entire write-up that I think some of it was just passed around. We can also, if anyone is interested, email it, to you at a later date. We are going for, the CARES Act, try to keep costs down to the town as much as possible. However, if we're not able to, if it doesn't meet the requirements, or we're not able to accomplish it in a timely manner, we are going to be adding it to the capital items budget in a few weeks. Due to the consistent advances in artificial building materials, coupled with the prevalence of plastic and petroleum-based products in homes, commercial buildings, and vehicles, in the event of a fire, our gear is subjected to extremely volatile chemicals, in addition to the high temperatures consistent with the burning of these objects and structures. Fire gear continues to advance to combat the dangers that we face in modern fires, but along with that comes additional requirements for decontamination and proper cleaning. Both the manufacturers and the National Fire Protection Agency have standards for the proper maintenance of structural fire gear. Our current washing machine is from the early 1990s and is not compliant with current NFPA standards, nor does it adequately remove contamination from the materials. Leaving chemicals, biohazard contaminants, and soot on our gear reduces its thermal barrier properties and leaves us vulnerable to direct and indirect burns and heat exhaustion. The temperatures in a structure fire at the floor level where we operate can regularly exceed 300 to 400 degrees, which is the temperature at which you would bake a cake. Temperatures at the ceiling have been recorded between 1,500 and 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to forge weld steel. Our gear is extremely important in keeping us safe and allowing us to perform rescues and searches inside of burning buildings. Beyond the fire scene, cancer and heart disease are the leading causes of death among firefighters. Being unable to remove carcinogens and other volatile compounds from our gear causes us to be exposed to them every time we put it on. We wear this gear into people's homes, into schools, into businesses, and we carry it in our vehicles with our families. COVID has showed us how important cleanliness is and how contamination can spread. Soot particles are no different, if only a few microns larger. Being able to maintain our gear properly will enable us to extend the serviceable life of the ensemble and reduce long-term replacement costs. Currently, we can only expect gear for an active interior firefighter to last 3 to 4 years. With proper maintenance in normal firefighting conditions, manufacturers and the NFPA allow for a serviceable lifespan of 10 years from the date of manufacture. Each firefighter has one set of gear. Currently hang drying our gear takes 12 to 36 hours depending on outside environmental conditions. During this time, we have a decreased number of firefighters to respond in the event of an emergency. Having a gear dryer in addition to an extractor would enable our members to return to service within about 4 to 5 hours. I kind of started with this paragraph a little bit. We changed it up, but yeah, if anyone has any questions, I can probably answer them. If I can't, I'm happy to do a little bit more research and get back to you. And like I said, if you're interested in having the entire packet, feel free to give us your emails and we'll send the entire thing along. There's a long narrative with that.
A ton of information. Good job. I mean, the total is just over $23,000. Our recommendation, and I sent an email last week to Tim and Martha, Matt, and David. Is this something that might qualify for the CARES Act?
ARPA, you mean?
Pardon?
ARPA money?
Sorry, yes. And could that move quickly enough? Because this is obviously something that has to be dealt with.
Matson told us that if it's under $10 million, there's a lot of
you get all these rules flying around. You start asking people who's supposed to know, and they haven't even heard about it.
There is a good possibility that
the committee.
How quickly could that happen?
The
side of it.
Just
like 6 months or.
Andy, the committee is meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
We are putting something on the town meeting agenda.
Do you have that whole packet?
You do now.
Veg Light's supposed to get some help.
You're better off with it right there.
I mean, it's all supposed to be for COVID, so I don't know if washing. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of this stuff qualifies, but I think one town's using $800,000 to build a dog pound. So who knows?
Matson's banking $300,000.
Can I comment on that? So it absolutely covers COVID. Because we respond with the EMS for medical emergencies. Particularly, they're inundated with all these calls, just like we are. And they've seen members step back as well. We've got several members that are dual members. We respond into these homes where people are COVID positive. Our first line of defense is our PPE.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good point.
We wear our turnout coat
Martha's
into
listening
houses, just like you said.
Yeah.
And then our gear goes back into our cars. I've got a 3-year-old that rides around in the back seat with my gear less than 6 feet away from him.
Yeah.
So it's a first line of defense to protect us against bloodborne pathogens, viral loads, and then all the carcinogens that we have on our gear when we come out of a fire. Cancer is one of the top 3 leading causes of death for firefighters.
Yeah, presumptive stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have, each member doesn't have 2 sets of gear.
No, I know that.
The number 39 in our column is our firefighting protective budget. It's $21,000 a year. If you look at the rationality, it's just under $3,000 for the pants, the coat, and the Nomex hood and gloves. And that would jump twice. It would be $60,000 a year. So we're trying to. The washing machines would last us 15, 20 years, like the one we have right now. We're just asking for the dryer to help speed the process up.
Do you not have a dryer now?
No, we don't. So
Okay, I heard you said that
we
you...
don't have a dryer. It has to hang dry within the station. It's just we're trying to, again, be very fiscally responsible in how we make these purchases, and we're hoping with that act, if it falls into it, if there's anything we can do to help on our end, phone call, we're always willing. The 3-member committee that put this together, a lot of time and effort into it. We are not going to, at the 11th hour, not miss an opportunity that if we can find or talk to somebody, we're always willing to help also make that call if needed.
I have brochures for the actual equipment that we were looking at purchasing. If you want copies of them, I thought I had them with me, but I can always email them.
If you want to email them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We can get them out to you, if that's easy.
But, I think, glad the committee's meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe you can learn more. But I guess Grub and I walked out of it saying, this is kind of important that one way or another.
And this space available will accommodate the new stuff?
So the gear extractor will sit on the same footprint as the existing washing machine, and then we will find room for that up on the road one way or another.
Well, this isn't, want or need.
Right. It's protecting the investment.
Of course.
Like Ethan said.
And the personnel.
3 years on the 10 years.
And then, right. And based on the fact the last washer lasted 28 years, I think we'd be out of our minds.
We know the new one won't last that long.
No, say it. But still.
Well, unfortunately,
We all know that.
how fast everything,
The appliances at your house.
28-year-old washer anymore?
Planned
I
obsolescence.
did years ago.
Okay.
Are there any other questions that we can answer, or?
Excellent. Tim does.
Question on the kitchen renovation. We've been working with the ambulance, with some of the cabinetry and some of the kitchen stuff there. Is this taking into account what they are helping us acquire? Because I think, the refrigerator is part of the renovation now, but then I think that does this include a stove? So what's the 10,000 for?
Where are you, Tim?
Yeah, where are you, Tim?
That might be Phil.
That's an EMS was the one that came in and requested the
that's
funding
right.
for cross-lane.
Kind of cross-lane.
That was when the water pipe broke, and that was one of the big repairs out of this budget right now.
Well,
they're trying to get the countertops put in and cabinetry replaced this next month. That money that was appropriated has nothing to do with the budget or anything that we're asking for at this time.
okay, but we're doing like, 13,000 for cabinetry and some sinks and some other stuff, so that's not this. So what is this 10,000 doing?
That's from Phil. Historically, we tend to not know from Phil what he puts in from the fire department. Phil puts stuff in without.
Phil's gonna.
This is separate stuff.
So I'm not sure what line.
I don't know if you're talking about capital or where.
Because.
Hey, Tim?
Tim, where are you?
Where are you in the budget, Tim? I'm sorry.
We're in the long sheet with the green column.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the page number?
What page?
Yeah, what's the page number?
3.
Page
Thank
3.
you.
Normally, all 3 stations, whether it be Lyme Street is 4,500, Cross Lane's 4,500, and then Fountain Road is 3,300. That's all the funding that they've been looking for.
He's
Under capital or operating?
No.
It's in the capital section, it's page 3. It's
Okay.
long.
Tim.
That's a Phil question.
Yeah. That might be
We're not doing that tonight.
for Cross Lane, that another process of all that budgeted money.
Yeah, move it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Onward ho.
I would
Okay.
like to make a motion
Okay.
for,
The 210?
sorry.
210, 774.
I want to do it all.
Other right sheet, page
744.
Yeah, 210-774.
Mr. Russell, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Reed, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, 210-774 for Online Volunteer Fire Department, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
If we have more
Take
questions
care.
on the capital stuff, just get me, well, yeah.
James?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Steve.
Appreciate it.
DNA
Thank you all.
is here. Do you think we could, and their gas?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have a one-line item.
Yeah.
So if we can move them up.
All right. Ms. Reed, motion to move up old line visiting nurse, if we could.
Second that.
Thank you.
Second, Kimberly. All those in favor say aye.
If you,
Any opposed, say nay.
you can wait till the end of the meeting.
We can just stand.
Yeah, you're only,
I'll stand over here.
okay.
Okay. Jude and Kim.
Well, we did not know we were assigned this until the agenda was sent out to us.
Okay.
There is one,
I also
Two
never
lines.
received an agenda ahead of time.
What's that?
I didn't receive an agenda ahead of time.
I don't think
Was
anybody
it
did.
not sent
no.
out?
yeah. Okay, so their budget has not changed for how many years, ladies? I don't know, it's gone down since
Yeah, it went down.
1920, and it stayed at 72,000. They had postage on here at one time, and that doesn't exist. Anyone has any questions, they're here to answer.
I just wanted, by way of introduction, I'm
sorry.
Sarah Caesar, and I'm president of the VNA here in town. Cindy Cooksley-Taylor is the executive director, and we're just really happy, again, to be here, say we're not asking for anything more.
Yeah.
And last year, you came with a full report, minutes, budgets, history, everything. I'm sure that's still available if anyone wants to look at that.
We are celebrating our centennial this year.
Wow. Celebration time, event?
Well, we have a celebration of some kind.
I bet you will.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're adapting and changing as the plans change.
How long has Sarah been the VNA? I don't.
She's been back in,
And prior to that, she
was
Maybe historically, I don't know, how many?
There's never been a question on any other than your postage and how much we're asking for it.
The two.
And
Okay.
and as far as I can see, you contribute and give so much.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever needed your service.
I chose it like an 80-20 type thing.
But we've been working a lot with Ledge Light, helping with
Yeah.
the COVID clinic. And,
How do you end up spending that?
contact.
And you do, how do we, for people who... That's a good question.
Yeah, and we've, Denise averaged over 400 this year, even with both.
Give that to
Pretty good.
That's huge.
And she's been doing clinics and blood pressure clinics up and down.
Do you only do visits on the recommendation of, say, a hospital release or a doctor contacting you? How does that work?
Well, the home visits, a family can call, anybody can call.
Okay.
Otherwise, when you're released from the hospital, you need a doctor to recommend you. And we're still working with that. Sometimes they don't want to recommend the old line visiting nurse. So,
And you don't...
they have their specials.
Well, that's true, but you don't charge...
Send them to us.
But you don't charge the person that you're going to see, so what...
There's no charge.
Okay, great.
You know, anything like PT, OT, anything like that, it's charged through.
Of course.
Yeah.
BJ.
Cindy, I noticed that your actual expenses every year are equal to the budget. How does that happen?
Damn if I know.
Not her job.
Yeah, I mean, we've just kind of lucked out.
Well, no, it can't be coincidental every year.
No.
do you receive private contributions?
We do. We have an annual fund drive.
So I wonder whether they just, the actual expenses exceed the budget, and those are, absorbed with the private expenditures.
You have an endowment, right?
Hmm?
There is an endowment, so.
Yeah, we got a full package
Last year, we got the full everything, so.
That revealed the secrets
But
of
it must be something like that.
Yeah, and we have,
They revealed the secrets of the temple of
Isn't
the
Well, we're also grateful to the Kitching Foundation too, because we had a nice check from them to pursue our activities from
Do
town.
you have any idea how much the actual expenditures are every year?
I don't think.
It includes the private donations?
There is a sheet
report.
in the very last page, right before it's, account 210, transfers out.
we usually bring in
There's
about,
an accounting.
Right after the launch.
Yep. Very last page of the section.
I see.
usually bring in, 20 to 20.
Yeah,
It varies year to year.
right. It's well over $100,000. Thanks.
Usually what comes in goes out.
I see up in the income, it says down fund 72,000, but it's Lyme and Old Lyme are the contributors, or the two towns?
Lyme and Old Lyme and South Lyme are all of them.
Without, is there a separate?
No, not separate. Lyme, Old Lyme, South Lyme, they're all in the
Does
country.
Lyme do a separate contribution?
No.
They're part,
We do our annual count. It goes to South Lyme.
But they don't independently, the 72 that.
the 72 comes
But
from,
they independently pay for any visits that Denise does.
but the town of Old Lyme pays 72.
We contribute $72,000 from our budget.
Does Lyme?
Does Lyme give?
Lyme pays, for 15 visits a month, they pay for a day at the senior center.
Okay, so we don't know how much that is.
They don't have a standard contribution like Old Lyme has?
No.
Why not?
Less activity.
Do it. I did get them to pay for a day at the senior center.
They write us like.
They'll never
Up to
work
13
out.
visits.
Baby steps to the door.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
one of our shared assets. Wendy.
There you go, Tim. Add that to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, I just want to put in a plug that we're hopeful that the senior center gets back up and moving again, because we lost a lot of activity, I guess, by being shut down for so long.
Right.
There.
And Denise does get a bigger office.
Big base, and a
Got a
big
truck.
base, what the.
Saw that quote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get a proper space for the nurse.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working on that, though. Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments for folks? Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sorry to have made you wait for, but I would have moved you up.
Thank you.
All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for 72,000 for Old Lyme visiting nurse.
Mr. Russell, is there a second?
I'll second.
Kimberly, any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. So Dave, the next item, is it?
We had other public safety still
Oh, okay, good.
to get to.
Excellent.
That was just Dave's stuff,
Right.
and that's the big long sheet, that's the handout that was in front there, so we don't have it.
I printed one out. Take
Anybody else down there need this?
I think I got to me, but then he went up and talked to you, so.
I mean, I can talk to it if you want.
Is it a big number, little number?
So we can go back and forth with Dave and keep that down with Ken. This is a revised presentation from him.
Yeah.
I did, based on
Is there a handout that can be circulated?
BJ?
Thank you.
There's some up here. They're down that end.
Dave has requested $5,000 an estimate he has made for a part-time fire inspector. Dave and I both talked about, hiring. There is no job description. There is no salary survey on this. So it's an estimate of what it would be.
Which sort of is what we happened last with Park and Rec?
Right.
Okay.
25 hours, 200 hours.
Right, and that is, again, due to inspections and quarterly, annually, that he does. He tries to do when we exceed commercial sites. We did bring down the part-time administrative wages, which one does a little bit. He does, as it says there, data collection for Dave's fire report. If you go down to fire marshal publications, he's asked for an additional 1,700, additional 3,500, based on new publications for his code coming out.
Nicole, excuse me for going back up, but the fire marshal salary is down.
Well, that's separate. Let me just, because it goes with
the other page.
So I want to explain those together. We put 700 in there for uniform line items because we've had issues with a couple different departments of who's buying what. So Tim asked me to put that in there, and his telephone's gone up just based on the data he uses on his plan. And the other one.
I'm sorry, what is a fire marshal pubs?
Publication.
And whether you get the books or you get it electronically, it's still up.
That's right, okay.
So, so then we'll go over the salaries. So this kind of goes with the salaries.
Wait,
didn't finish.
I ask a question there, not related to the salaries. Tim, now in talking with, because Andy, you and I met with Super and with Dave maybe 2 years ago now?
Year and a half, 2 years
ago, to talk about a backlog. And because he at that time had a request for an assistant, and so did Super. Super said, we got to do this, So there was a big backlog of reports that Dave is supposed to do to get to the state. And so we agreed to hire Duddy to get rid of that.
Catch up.
To get rid of that backlog. And then I thought my recollection is that then he's all caught up and he's got to continue doing it himself.
Right.
And now we've got somebody who's going to be doing fire inspections and reports. So that was a question that I had when Dave was here with us. What are you doing what else does the fire marshal do? Did you have any sort of question or a conversation with him about that?
Yeah, I've asked them how many inspections total, because they're different types. They have restaurants, you have schools, you have places of congregation and so forth, but I think there's about 150 that should be done.
Is that annual, Tim, or?
Yeah, yes, but I think the officials are aware that fire marshals don't generally get through each and every one every year, so I think there may be some some that have a lesser frequency, instead of annual, it might be every year or every 2 years,
But if you're the fire marshal of East Lyme, that's one thing. If you're the fire marshal of non-commercial Old Lyme, that's another thing. So, and what Dave told us last week or the week prior, it takes about 2 hours for every inspection
And report.
and report. So that's 300 hours. That's my point. Is the fire, like, what else is the fire marshal doing? Has anyone asked that question?
You mean, what is Dave doing himself, or you ask?
Dave,
Yeah. It seems like it's all getting outside.
I would say there's no oversight.
So,
In my opinion, it's just an empire that's growing, and he just wants to do what's on the top and not the other stuff. And
well, that's what it's,
I think he has trouble with the other stuff, you know, the
Yeah.
Excel and the filings, because I know I do so much of that, uploading, you know, Excel to the states, the feds, and all that, for everything, and I think him personally, it is really a struggle, so he has a lot of admin to do a lot of that.
filing all these FEMA reports and,
but the FEMA stuff, that's on the EMS side.
yeah, but I think that's taking.
So my question is, does $7,200 kind of take care of a fire marshal for a place like Old Lyme? And then we're just looking at somebody who's in, you know.
Salary, so, you know,
It seems like it's reversed, like the salary should be,
you work what you have to work to get it done, so I don't know.
it seems like the salary should be weighted much more towards emergency management and a little bit.
Probably changed over the years, and we haven't adjusted it.
Well, we fused the money together because it's a unified position. And that's why I think.
Yeah, so let's talk about his salary.
Yeah, because my question was answered. Yeah.
So when Tim was leaving and Bonnie was coming in, we were in the middle of a salary study, and we had it done by Randy Frank, and so when you hear the Randy Frank study, that's what I was doing. And I had just come on in 09. So they updated all the job descriptions, and they did an extensive needs survey with certain towns that were equatable to Old Lyme. And when they did it, they did a combined one for Dave's emergency management and fire marshal. So it was a combined job description, and they assigned everybody a grade that was 1 to 20 based on your responsibilities. Do you deal with cash? You know, there's a whole bunch of things. And so they put him at grade, let's just say 13, and his salary should have been at that time like 55. But what he made at that time was 55 plus a stipend. So he was overpaid the salary, what he should have been based on that salary study. And really, I think I brought it up at salary committees as well, but I think no one really over the years had the appetite to do anything about it, because you'd either have to cut him to get to where he should be, or give him, you know, no one had the appetite to do anything. So he's been overpaid since then. And the whole rationale has been, well, we get this reimbursement from the feds, and so we'll give him the extra. But there's other people that have asked, well, why don't I? Like, we get reimbursement from FEMA on Ed Adante's straight time and over all the other hours he doesn't get compensated for. And he says, well, why don't I get a stipend? Because, and you know, Stephanie's the same way. We get part money from Lyme. How come she's not getting? You know what I mean? So there's been other individuals that it's not been very fair to.
Yeah, some are underpaid, some are overpaid.
Right, and so he's
right.
the only one. I follow that Randy study very strictly for grades, and it's the basis of all our budget. And he's the only one that's not on there and never has been. And so I put in here what the study would say, but
now is that?
You'd have to chop his salary big time to do that. And I don't think
But
you'd want to do that.
is that Randy Frank number did you adjust that for any inflation over the time period?
You said 10 years ago it was 55,
Right, so
and now
every
it's
year,
58.
whatever you guys determine, you know,
Been 10 years.
increase salaries by 2.5, 2.25 for the employees.
Yeah.
I plug that into it's a big spreadsheet. I plug that into numbers, and it increases rates or salaries.
Right, but that's taking a market number and raising it by what our raises are, which may be high or low.
Right.
I don't know.
And I don't move anyone to grade because from the original, because then you'd have to have a new job description.
Right.
So there was protocols and precedent set back then of how we're doing this, and I continue to follow that, except this has always bothered me because it's.
But the job descriptions have to be adjusted and changed with the times. His job may not have had much in emergency services. Sorry.
What's the status of the new salary study? Well, let me finish the question. When is that going to be released? And are we going to be able to incorporate the results of that study into this budget planning?
Yes, I think we will. We have yet a couple elements to find what the classifications are in terms of these numbers, because I'm not sure the firm has the Randy Frank numbers and so forth, but they've done comparative numbers between sample towns, but then we want to refine where the numbering system is, the 13 she mentioned and so forth, to get that squared away. And has Dave been frozen, though, over the raise?
I froze him last year because I don't have an answer from anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got to go by that Randy Frank study because that's...
Right.
But BJ's point is we're getting a new market survey.
I mean, I think that Nicole raises two excellent points. One, she raises one excellent point, which is that, in effect, Dave has been overpaid, but the flip side of that coin is to decrease somebody's salary is pretty problematic, right?
Right.
And I don't want to have to get into this discussion until we know what the data in the new study looks like.
Right.
I mean, you could freeze the salary. You could freeze it.
That would be probably what we'd have to do.
But let's move towards tabling this, but Judy.
And I don't think just the review of the salaries is going to be the answer. I saw Michelle Noren today, who explained to me on a larger picture, after that study comes in, we are looking for input for a consultant or an advisor to advise us not just on that portion of it, but the HR, the way we operate in general regarding salaries and payments.
Right, and in my opinion, I don't know that we're going to get new numbers in here, BJ.
That was my...
Because the selectmen and the Board of Finance have to figure, well, you know, what if Michelle or me or anybody should be getting another 20 grand? Are we going to... Because at one point, that was the case when we first did this, and we phased some people in over 5 years or over 2. So there's a lot of decision-making that has to happen, even when we get those numbers. And I can imagine we're going to get that done by May.
We've got a salary committee, so we could set an aggressive schedule and try to do that.
Right.
But the first step is, let's see what the new group comes up with.
Let's see how far out of whack it is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What we're thinking would be smart would be to get the salary committee and the selectmen together to get on a web with the company and look at it, and then see what needs to be done, and then roll it out after that.
Yeah, I do think we should sprint to do that, because the Randy Frank study is, and it's not unusual to wait a period of time, 10 years, and now we're there, and it's budget season. If we could do it in this budget season, that would be a favor to, I think, the town.
We still have a month or so to go, and the last couple of years have skewed the emergency management thing because of the whole COVID. I think a lot of these people responsible for that emergency management are running around trying to find test kits and everything else in the world. So it's taken away from other things, but we got to look at both.
Andy? I had a question about emergency management wages reimbursement. Moving $10,000 in wages, stipends reimbursed by Millstone, included in the $120,000 capital. It's, the third one down is red.
All right, so you want me to?
So we're putting salary into capital?
So emergency management, $10,000 and that's what some people aren't getting stipends even though the town's getting money. Dave's getting stipends personally for the amount of money we're getting from other third parties. So that's another thing I think.
But I guess my question, aside from that, is why would you have salaries in capital?
So he has several people that do things for emergency management that we pay stipends for.
These millstone drills and...
Well, millstone drills.
Okay.
Plus, they also reimburse us for individuals who keep track of who are the disabled people in town, so in case of an emergency, they will need leaves. So some people that they pay for that, they get fully reimbursable. We've always put everything reimbursable under that $120,000 in capital that he has.
Okay.
Because I have to keep track of all of it together because I can never track what he puts in for reimbursement. It's very difficult. And that's why I think he needs help administratively to figure out what he's put in and what he hasn't, and if he's doubling up me, putting in other agencies. So I put it into capital because that account, I've always said, the only thing in there is items that are reimbursable.
Right. All right.
For Millstone.
Yeah. Okay.
So we took them out of here because that's where they're being posted now and that's where they should be.
Right.
So when you look at the salary sheet, you can't tie that to these.
Yeah.
Some of that, with those wages are in.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's what Tim had a problem doing.
Yeah, because when we have to account for the grant money from these sources, and if we put it in a regular spending budget, then and it's not in the grant, you're not accounting properly for what goes to reimbursement.
And I can track that, but he does the Millstone and the FEMA reimbursements himself, and he needs it in one spot because it's difficult for him to be all.
So it's somewhat related. This is actually Maria's idea. We've got a number of new positions we're looking at throughout Town Hall. One of them is in IT. What if you looked at that position, you talked about a number of department heads who have difficulty with technology. We talked about that in relationship partially to Park and Rec. We talk about it, Public Works.
Yep.
We talk about it
Animal
here.
control.
Animal control.
Yep.
Tax office. Does it make, rather than hiring a part-time person here, part-time person there, $200 for fire marshal to get help with inspections because he can't file things.
Another 5 hours a week,
Plus, you look at when that printer doesn't work in Town Hall, that it needs maybe a little more than a reboot, but it doesn't need our vendor to come in. Does that make sense that we look at funding that?
It sounds like there are two issues. If you're talking about Don and who we're hiring in a
it's not going to solve all those problems. But I'm talking about we've got a number of department heads who aren't able to take advantage of technology that's available to them today to get their jobs done.
But it sounds like it's software usage with these guys, as opposed to an IT person that is in charge of IT.
With IT,
but that might be able to do some training. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's not one person. Maybe it's two different things. But as opposed to hiring assistants, maybe there's the IT hardware person, and then maybe there's money set aside to bring people in to train some of these department heads on better. I don't know. It just seems like we hear about
I agree with that.
Problems with using technology today to get things done, as we all have to in businesses.
Andy, I think to start out, when the fire trucks roll, they come back to the firehouse, they have to fill out an e-report, and it has to be filed with the state and all that. So that's when Duddy started doing that.
Well, because those were the ones that were behind, and those had to be done for the insurance, the ISO
They had
report.
to get done for our
And it had to get done and get caught up on.
So I think he continues to do those whenever it happens, reports. And then,
It's not the firemen that have a problem with technology, it's the fire marshal that has problems with technology.
or just,
It's the production part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we have to copy and invoice it somehow, like 3 or 4 times, somehow it gets lost between, you know.
I mean, again, that's not,
And you have people that are in positions that, I don't know, it's hard. It's just
well, things have changed. I mean, it's true in every
exactly.
business. The world has changed since a lot of people got into their.
Everybody else to help people.
Right.
Right, it's not your job to be doing their job. But if they've been here for a long time, the job has grown in additional areas, and that person has not.
Right.
But he wasn't originally hired to be qualified for all that.
It grows up, technology grows up.
Exactly, so I think that's part of the salary.
That's part, I mean, I'm just, as we look at a part-time person here, an assistant there, a lot of it is related to what has to be done in today's world to get our jobs done.
Can we leave that for the Board of Selectmen? I think the comment is a good one. And
So how do we resolve his budget then?
We don't.
To keep going through bringing
Well,
I mean,
well, because I think the ancillary items are probably not objectionable.
I see the 2 items that I think we discussed a lot the last time, being Everbridge and the COVID money. Do we have any clearer answers on?
I don't. I expect it to be here.
Right. You know, we asked him what was contributing to that $100,000 of COVID money, and he came up with 20 or 30 grand for masks and tests, but the other 70 to 80 grand, he was just kind of like, oh, well, you know, that's what happened.
wouldn't that cut to 50?
It wasn't it one,
well, 100 here.
Yeah.
It says 100 here.
Yeah.
But we
It
did
says 100.
Yeah, we have to, because his thought on the 100, which I do think we
cut it.
We did cut.
But I thought we did.
No, we didn't.
But
not on here.
We didn't vote on it, but we said, because he was like, look, if it's 100, I still get reimbursed 100, so I'm just in case. And
So we're putting 50?
50.
Okay.
And then the Everbridge, I was hoping he might have.
I mean,
what's the difference between A and B?
Yeah.
Right. All right, so we'll table that once again. Maybe we'll just have the entire town vote on it and have you present to the town.
Great.
You don't want to say table, you just defer it to the next meeting. Because table means you got to untable it, motions and all that.
Okay.
Unless you really want it.
Well, I didn't call for a motion to table.
So we're just moving it to the next meeting.
Moving it to the next meeting?
Next meeting.
I'll give you my 13th edition of Robert's Rules. Yes, we shall defer discussion.
You didn't say track.
Up far?
I did not.
Yeah.
I'm in there. Social Services Department.
So, John David and I were supposed to meet yesterday, but we had a family emergency come up and we were not able to meet.
Okay.
So, if there are questions on her items, I would recommend maybe postponing that until next meeting when I can actually sit down and talk with her. But it doesn't seem like
No,
there are
that's
items
the change.
here that,
Oh, yeah, change. And it's,
there's only one change, the 1,000?
yeah, and
What?
Oh, wait.
Social departments up here.
That's social service agencies.
That's a 21.
like, what?
Yeah, so it's $340. It's the salary change.
Well,
so unless there's anything you have questions, you know.
I think you,
Yes,
I'll entertain a motion for the 21,829.
I'll second.
Nope.
Jude moved.
I moved it.
Okay, very quick.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Great. Okay. Now, to the social services. Yep.
And there is one change.
Wow.
CDCPA has asked for $650 instead of $600.
They asked for what?
660?
Everybody got a percentage increase, obviously.
They're the one that does the fuel assistance money.
But the big jump is homeless hospitality center?
Yes. Did I give you that in your?
That was on the table here.
Yeah.
There's a letter.
It's in the book.
It's in the book, too. Yeah. Then both.
I think the homeless is a whole $1,000 increase.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I think the need is there.
If everyone does, and then somebody make a motion.
My recollection of our conversations in past years is whether I have no quarrel with supporting the homeless anywhere, including in London. I think in fact, it's benefiting the London citizens and not all Lyme citizens. I guess the question would be, would it be better to put additional money into social services for this community?
In the past, I met with Jennifer, we did not have a discussion about a need increase for homeless people here. The need seems to be with utilities, food, fuel, gasoline, pet food, those sorts of things. I don't remember personally. I think
people, other organizations, I've talked to Jen about needs for toiletries and cleaning supplies and those kinds of things.
And anytime there was a discussion about it, people were referred to the New London.
They note in their letter, one person in 2020 made use, but it could be somebody else if there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I can tell you that the Shortland Soup Kitchen needs have definitely grown significantly over the COVID pandemic in the past 3 years. They're serving more meals than ever before, and they are getting, donations are also coming in, but the need, especially locally, has definitely increased.
I think I've heard the same about the diaper bank.
No.
I don't want to object to those
No.
I would separate that
$660.
But you can still question it, how it works.
Oh, I see.
separate and apart from.
I think youth
Who's giving
service
it
has
to
been
London?
doing a banner business, getting donations.
Say what?
Youth service has been doing
Youth
very well.
services, I think, does well.
I'm meeting with, we're meeting with Mary tomorrow.
But no one has asked for anything more either, BJ.
Yeah.
So the number with that increase of $60, if people are willing,
I'll make a motion.
7210.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for 7210 for social service agencies.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Great, motion carries. 22, all right.
So the next two items, 9 and 10 on the agenda, the estuary, transit district, and services, those were hand out.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. You gave it away.
What's that? You need one?
Nope. The one.
On one page?
There you go. You open agreement more about contacting someone too after this meeting.
Okay.
Joanne DiCamillo?
Like game.
No, I'm not getting any response.
Oh, transit.
Joanne DiCamillo.
Thank you.
Item, I guess.
They're buddies, I know. And then, reached out to Amanda Blair.
Yeah.
I know, she contacted me and said she referred to Evan, and I have no response.
16.7?
You don't have to give it tonight, but I would like to read it. They may have it.
Then a 25K.
So, Estuary Transit District is next. So,
Yeah,
up from the 16.5 to 16.7, just because the request came in.
yeah, this is the merged Middletown and Nine-Town Transit.
Oh, wow.
Which effect will happen in July 1.
I was going to say, when does that take place? July 1?
July 1, okay.
Interesting.
So the request is $16,700 last year, budgeted $16,365.
Move that 16.7.
Mr. Russell, is there a second?
On somebody else.
Or you guys?
Garvin? Any further discussion at all? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions, motion carries. And then Estuary Services.
And that on that, and that,
Oh, man.
Saving us all kinds of money tonight, Nick.
What's that?
What did we just vote on the Estuary Transit District?
74.
16,700.
Yeah.
16,700.
Not the 16.5 that's in the.
Right, their request was slightly low.
It's rounding, it's easier for me.
That's good. Yep.
It's interesting that that's gone down.
Bigger's better.
What did you say?
What
Bigger's better.
Oh,
So 24 is what they're looking for?
instead of 25.
No. Well, unless,
For, no, Estuary Services.
23,765 on the back page.
Rounding. Rounding.
We're going to,
Rounding up, Tim, it's easier for my budget.
Okay.
$24,000.
24,000.
I'm off $1 for that whole department.
Right.
I'll move the 24,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Russell, is there a second?
Irvin?
Irvin? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carried. Good? All right. Oh, wreck. I thought we,
opening up that page.
I thought we, yes, we didn't vote.
I don't think we voted on it.
Yeah.
To try to find a new location in a week?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking to Ian about behind the high school, up high, there's where the septic thing.
Yep.
Yes.
It's like a long, narrow job, and the dimensions may be able to accommodate the fireworks to be up on that mound, and possibly the spectators could be on the toy field to see them.
So the parks went on the spectators and not the first field?
To protect the field. There's the buffer.
Got it.
Everybody bring blankets.
Asbestos blanket.
Everybody,
And it's a long walk in and out.
everybody would be given a water bottle to put up.
Under the umbrella.
So that's being explored by the district.
So for budget purposes,
Well, the two items should be okay, one way or the other. Because I don't think there'd be any material difference in their prep.
well, do we think that we're going to have the fireworks? That's the,
I guess if Ian says it's okay, it should be a site. There's not too many sites I have for
What about Cross Lane that you can Mile Creek?
lane.
Traffic.
Near that pond, and then use
Negative.
Mile Creek
Trees.
for parking?
Firehouse is right there.
Yeah.
We could sit in Matt's yard.
Rogers Lake.
What?
Rogers Lake?
No parking.
Yeah, no,
Oh, no parking.
Rogers Lake.
bus every
No, definitely.
Haynes Park.
You have to have parking,
Yeah.
and you have to have,
Cross lane.
you know,
Let's take the park.
I know, they can put the, rest areas, the lunch place, the picnic place.
All right, for expedience,
yeah.
I'll entertain a motion for the...
I'll move the
what are we doing?
$25,000 for Park and Rec other. That includes fireworks and Memorial Day.
We can take it out if it turns out that there's not a place in the next...
Yeah.
Okay. And if it rains, we may not.
Is there a second?
Garvin.
Mr. Garvin? Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Great.
Tom, we had to make sure all the horses were, moved.
Down, because it's a hot, high hopes.
Yeah, they wouldn't like
Horses
that.
don't like explosions that much.
Oh, I know. We have a neighbor that likes to light them off once in a while, that's.
All right, we received 2 sets of minutes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have a report under item 13.
I think we're just going to push the minutes. Just to finish that thought, because we just got them tonight, so we'll deal with those next week. All right. Mr. Griswold.
Okay.
Well, concerning household hazardous waste, the administrative fee for the COG is really going to be, I would say, $3,500. The calculation's $3,434. Instead of that $7,000, they came out and did a calculation, and we received the communication for our share of it at $3,434. So I think we could safely change the vote last week from $7,000 to $3,500, and change the bottom number accordingly.
So 19.5 would be the bottom line number?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually
17.5?
213 in your tab.
It was 14,000, right?
Yeah.
It was 14
and 7.
It was 7 and 14, so now it's 17.5, 3,514.
Oh, it would be 16,000 plus 3,000, so 19.
No, we approved 14.
Last week we
Tim.
changed.
We changed it to 14.
Household activity was 14.
Oh,
Yep.
14, correction.
From 16.
Correct.
Plus 35 now instead of,
Yes.
I make the motion to adjust that to
5.
17.5.
well,
Okay. Is there a second?
a second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There's one aye right now. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Great. Next item is adjourn. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, I thought you were here tonight, Jay. Come
All in
on.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not good. All right, thank you all on the phone.